Right guys, so with a few of the other videos we've dropped this week, I've been chatting about the different regions and all that kind of stuff. The next region we have to come on to, of course, is Champion Euro. Now, when I kind of look at my own club and gallery, I don't think I've properly set myself up this year in a great way for Champion Euro, and we'll kind of talk about that in the video. A lot of the early parts of my strategies for this region that I've put into place over the summer and last spring have definitely, worked out okay. And have set me up in a really good position because of some of the other trades I've been able to make. We'll go through all that in the video. Okay, guys, at any point in the video, if you do have fun, you laugh, you learn something, whatever, please do smash that like button. It goes a long way to helping the channel grow, and it really, really means a lot to me. You've got no idea. Otherwise, wherever else you find me, like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff, guys. And let's get stuck into it. Now, going into this season, because of the way everything kind of kicked off last kind of February and March, I was quite happy to kind of keep my ship steady on Champion Euro, not sell any of my assets that were going to be like headline acts for the club this season, at that point next season, whilst trying to pick up some strategic buys here and there. And I think I've done well with the kind of deployment I've done that way, because I've been focusing so heavily on MLS and even a little bit of Challenger. I've been kind of paying a lot of attention to that. And, it's kind of, I'm taking my eye off the ball, champion, in a certain respect, because every time I've looked at this, I've visited the depth chart, I think I'm more than covered amply for Champion Euro for the amount I'll be playing in it, which will be D4 and D3. At point of recording, I've been doing very well in Global D2 and under 23 D2, and it's given me a little bit of extra confidence that, yeah, do you know what, I can pick a team that will place at that level. I can still do that. Changing the levels, it really doesn't make much of a difference. The only difference really does become you need to be a bit more selective. You need to get lucky in terms of the cards you're trying to get, who you can prize it out of, or where you can get it in the market, that kind of thing. And you just need to be a bit more disciplined in your acquisitions and your deployment and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I've now got a wee bit of a hunger to do a little bit more than probably what I'd given myself credit I'd been able to do or achieve, 6 months ago. Even, for example, I would have never thought D2 champion would have been on my radar at all. I thought it'd be, my deployment for this game week, the midweeker, you'll have seen the video for that by now. I've just went all D3s and I've just dinged doing D2s. And that was always my kind of strategy. Buying super rares was buy D2 level supers that will go really strongly into D3 situations and just try and bully that division as hard as I can with the resources that are available to me. But like I mentioned earlier in the video, the success I've had with the MLS captures I've had and how well they've done for me overall, even though I'm still getting the odd miss weeks here and there, like the weekend game week there, I didn't pull any prizes at all, which was a wee bit of a bummer, but we were on a good run, so you can't win them all. But so yeah, I've got a kind of renewed vigour and a renewed confidence. So when I come into my Champion Euro, the first thing I'll look at, and I've just got it here on the left hand screen for you, just above my head, you can see how many I've got in each scarcity, and you can see my kind of positional breakdown. And again, it's very typical for just taking your time, try to feel your way in. Goalkeepers is the big kind of gatekeeper into the Champion Euro region, quite simply because of the cost of them. And I think I've managed to do quite well with a few of the acquisitions I've got in goalkeeper, which is where we'll start. Okay, so when I've been trying to go into this division, I've tried to keep my big assets from last season, Navas and Oblak. Navas is, his position has diminished, it must be said. Nubel has got his loan, thankfully, so he's coming into play now, which is great. And Kevin Trapp I picked up in the summer for what I think is a fucking steal at 0.399. I actually thought it was closer to 0.5 I paid for him, but that's actually excellent because that came off the back of a trade. So I traded a few cards that were one-offs to that guy's stake box, got a 1 of 10 Ben Davis, and then decided he wasn't going to Celtic, so I thought I better transfer him out, and I managed, by selling him on the market, managed to get the Kevin Trapp with the proceeds. So I'm going in with 4 keepers, maybe 3, depending on what happens with Navas. And you might even say Mulan has a chance, who's a recent acquisition. You see, I just bought him a month ago for pennies. And sometimes with the goalkeepers, I was very fortunate to win Navas. Oblak was a big bite the bullet purchase, but even if you move them to the one side, I have just sold Garbage as well, who was a similar to a Mulan situation, and a Nubel. Just buying those backups that will have their day in the sun, and you've just got to cross your fingers it isn't Champ Euro versus Challenger or whatever. So that'd been my main kind of, with the exception of the All Black, of course. Previously, I have had guys like Paul Lopez and Alban Lafont and Handanovic, you know, so I have kind of delved around with the goalkeepers, but I want to just get myself into a situation where I've got a solid stable of Champ Euro goalkeepers that I'm not ever thinking about selling, and I've got, you know, kind of the minimum crux that I need to make sure I'm competitive. And I think even with Trap, All Black and Nubo, that three will get me into most game weeks to the level and the power that I would want to. When I start to kind of trip up is when I move into the defence. Okay, so when it comes to defence, my best defender by a long way, of course, in terms of card and whatever, is Hakimi, who's a U23 also, which is then gives you a tough, you know, kind of conundrum to face. One of my top performers last year, Chris Richards, isn't going to be playing. Van Dijk's back, Denier's still to come back. You know, you can see who I've got here. I've got some solid defence, right? But in terms of my absolute best performers, you've got to say it's Theo, who's under 23, Hakimi, who's U23, and yeah, so basically those two guys. And then outside of that, you're looking at Van Dijk and Robbo and Trippier, who are, Van Dijk and Robbo being in the same team always makes me nervous putting them together, just in case the result's awful or whatever. Well, Liverpool, that's not maybe quite as pertinent. And Trippier, don't really know the situation. Maybe he's not started the first two games yet, and I'm hoping he stays at Atleti and he becomes, you know, he keeps starting, and like he did last year. I think the starting thing will be I can return to fitness, and maybe there is still a wee bit of transfer speculation or whatever uncertainty around his future, because I don't see Simeone starting a guy who he might lose, you know, so that might be playing a part in it. And Wizinho is transferred in, which is cool. Chris Richards probably won't play too much. So anyway, in defence, I am quite light, especially if I want to go strong in U23 with Theo, who's definitely a massive U23 player, as well as that super rare Hakimi. So if I was to remove them two out of it, I've got Van Dijk, Robbo, Denier. Let's see what you know. I believe in Denier, but let's see what he does. And otherwise, you know, so I'm quite thin on the ground, right? But I've got, again, similar to the goalkeepers, that kind of minimum requirement. Now, this is where I need a wee bit of input from you guys at home. Okay, now this is my midfield right now. Midfield is, generally speaking, my vastly best equipped position in any of my other lineups and formations and regions that I operate in. Easily, midfield is, you know, good variety, got a good profile, got a good variety of profile, and we're ticking boxes. But I don't get that confidence, guys, with my Champion Euro. So what I want from you guys in the comment section is, you know, you can see my ETH balance up in the top of the screen. If you had that type of balance, what Champ Euro midfielder, preferentially super rare, but I'll accept like nominations for something else. I'll accept a nomination for a rare midfielder if you nominate a super rare goalkeeper. How's that? So that's basically the conundrum that I'm in at the moment. Do I try and get a super rare goalkeeper and then get a really good midfielder rare? Play the midfielder rare is like the false super rare up at D2 level with the rare goalkeeper and other pieces that I've got. So midfield super rare wise, you can see right away Renato and Cuisance are my guys, and they're both big massive question marks in a lot of different ways, so can't really count on them. Otherwise, the only kind of banker guys I've got that I would say every week I can play them in the best team available and I know they'll produce something most of the time, of course no one's perfect, is Carlos Soler and Florian Wirtz. Outside of that, everyone else has a question mark of some description over them on almost every game week, whether that be fixture quality or, you know, rotation gambles or adapting to levels, managers' plans, managers' tactics, whatever. So again, as much as my number there is good 12, and you look at them all, they're all, you know, you'd say at a glance, at risk of DNPing like all the time, is Kang In, Cuisance, and yeah, that's probably it really. So they're all likely to feature, which is a good starting point. But again, I don't really have any, in my opinion anyway, I don't have any massive game week winning midfielders in here. Up front is my strength, and I think, again, as much as I'm talking about midfield being a wee bit of a trope at the club, I've always got good strikers available to me. But again, there's some question marks over these guys, as much as at a glance they all look amazing. Werner, question mark now with Lukaku. The last game there, they started with Mason Mount, who is a club favourite and hero. And, would you cry him? Havertz, who again is in great vein of form, has got great chemistry with other players in the team. So Werner's situation, I thought Lukaku would be great for Werner, but seeing that formation and that team going out definitely puts doubts over Werner for me, which is annoying to say the least. Felix is injured, Cherki's up in the air, the Mecca's moved club, let's see what happens. Sané's been a brat for the sounds of things. Sorloth is transferring, who knows. Paulinho's just getting back in the team. Joe David is Mr. Inconsistent, as is Timo Weah, you cannot bank on him at all. Diatta's coming into the team, and we've got Captain Memphis. So we've only really got Captain Memphis that I would look at amongst all these amazing, good-looking forwards I've got as like a nailed-on hitter. You know, not just starter. I reckon David will start most games. So will probably Paulinho. Sane will get a lot of starts, and you know, Cherky and Nemeka, Felix, between all of them, they'll get a credible amount of appearances this year. But my nailed-on is Captain Memphis. So I've got a good number. I'm not sure consolidating the number is pertinent. But guys at home, what do you think? So at the moment, what I'm basically saying is I would feel really comfortable going into D4, definitely, and doing a really good shift and making a good account of myself and getting amongst the prizes most game weeks. At D3, I either go double super rares at the back, Hakimi and Trippier, which I did in the last game week, and Trippier not starting kind of backfired on me. But then it's taking the Hakimi, who's always going to be doing great results, you would think, in that PSG team, out of a U23 situation, and puts him into a losing situation in Champ Euro, because he can be very good in Champ Euro. So I'm just about bare minimum on D3, and I'm giving myself grandiose ambitions of moving to D2. But how I'm thinking about deploying that is forgetting D3 altogether, taking the super rares I've got and trying to go up a level, whether that be with a super rare midfielder or with a super rare goalkeeper, to try and, you know, negate the requirement for the other one, basically, you know. So I think Champ Euro, the reason I've been kind of, so to take us back to the beginning of what I was talking about in terms of putting building blocks and whatever out, I wanted to come into this season with flexibility, because undoubtedly this season there will be more clubs in Champion Euro onboarded than there was last year. The way we had Serie A deployment last year, when it did, like, you know, you'll remember it was like Sampdoria, you know, this one and that one, whatever. There was like 4 of the clubs, Verona, 3 of the clubs that all come on kind of together, and they all went into little bundles and that kind of stuff. Can easily see them do that for the other Champ Euro leagues outside the Premier League, of course, where they get, like, I don't know, Espanyol, Sociedad, Villarreal. They drop all 3 of them in one day. The next week it's Seville, get a day to themselves. They're quite big, win Europa Leagues and whatever, you know. And then, you know, maybe they do the same thing in France, where they get like 3 or 4 of the clubs, drop them together. Then maybe a kind of medium-sized club they've not got yet, like Nice or a bigger club, you know, drop them on a day by themselves. I can definitely see that happening more and more as the season progresses. And a lot of those cards out there I want to buy. And I can't, you know, I was saying this to somebody recently, I say it quite often, but, you know, you can't buy every card, you know, so it's about picking your battles and really buying the cards that you want to buy. So what I recommend kind of now, kind of outwardly to myself and to you guys at home, is the Champ Euro, any position, any gaps that you're looking to fill at the moment, you should be making a list, like I'm doing currently at the moment, of ones that are not on the platform at the moment. That, you know, let's be honest, at this point in the game, you know, everything, guys, nothing's off the table. Any club could get licensed tomorrow, like that. It really, you know, that's the way it is. Whereas like this time last year, if I look at August 2020, you know, I was buying cards thinking, oh, one day if we're lucky, we'll get Real Madrid on the platform. And that's, you know, now after we've had these licenses that we've got, honestly, like, anything can happen this year. So if there's a player you're looking for and you're like, damn, he's not at a licensed club yet, bear in mind, it probably will be quite soon. You know, that is a possibility that you do need to legislate for, you know. So that's the kind of, I'm actively looking at the market for the sort of tactics I've just described to you through the video, but I'm also being cautious about it and trying to plot my course correctly. And like I always talk about in these types of videos as well, guys, there's some guys that I buy who I look at them and I'm like, if I joined this today and that guy was available, I'd be buying him, regardless if I've been here for a year, 2 years, one day, doesn't matter. So those are the guys I really do want to capture, you know, as early as possible, whether they are out of form or whether they're injured, because that's where your football knowledge kind of kicks in, and that's what gives you the edge over the competition at whatever level of the game that you're playing on. So I definitely encourage you to be prudent and considered with your Champion Euro in particular purchases for this season going forward. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.